we talk about reading the room and being patient and making these constant judgments, which I want to connect to AI in a moment here. You don't always win. They say the house wins, but when you lose, is there a way that you frame it sometimes where I lost the right way and it's still in that consistent over time, long term, still moving you in the direction that you wanted to go?
That's everything. I'm gonna make one pedantic point, but it's important, right? Because if someone's out there,
that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Exactly. So if someone's out there thinking about booking a poker player, there might be certain taboos around poker which they have in their mind. I totally understand that, but it's very important. A professional poker player is not gambling by the strict definition of that word. Okay. Look, I've enjoyed gambling in my life. I don't happen to do it anymore, but as a leisure activity, as long as you're losing what you could afford to lose or what you would lose in a golf club or an auction room, it's perfectly acceptable. Okay. But crucially, when we are gambling, blackjack, roulette, craps, big wheel, all of those things, we're playing against the house. And as you just said, the house is going to win at the end of the day, in the long run. You can win on any even spin of the wheel or turn of the card, but the house is going to take it down in the end. And actually, what most sessions try and do is get under the surface of that and show how. I mean, like literally mathematically, because they're not getting lucky and they're not cheating. The game is set up in such a way, and this is the key, Seth, they have the edge. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's a key term in business. So I studied economics at Cambridge, and I knew from the first time I ever sat down and played poker in the summer of 99, I was like, this poker table is a market within which we, the players who are playing against each other, we are not playing against the house. The house makes money in a slightly different way, right? And it varies, so I won't go into it. But they don't care whether you win or lose because you're not winning it from them. Okay,
right?
You're winning it from or losing it to the other players around the table. So we are like any other market, like a housing market, like a jobs market, like the insurance market, like a stock market, right? And what we are all trying to do is what the house does in the rest of the casino, which is get the edge. All right, that's the absolutely fundamental thing. And there's lots of different ways of doing that. You can have more information than the other people. You can be better at certain skills, patience, resilience, discipline. These days, mathematics, obviously. But you can also have better judgment, right? And poker's actually moved from a place, if you take it from the 70s, 80s, where those guys, some of them were inured, right? But they had great gut, okay? So when they felt that it was likely that you were bluffing, their judgment was good, right? These days, in fact, if you take the last 7 or 8 years, you have to be good at both. But there was a period between about 2002 and 2015, 16, where maths overtook judgment, right? Where the ability to formulate the calculations, to do the calculation behind the calculated risk, that was what made you a great poker player. Now, all markets tend toward efficiency. What does that mean? It just means people get better. Edges are much finer. Competition is greater. And so now you're really good at both of those things. All right. Yeah. And that's why the great poker players, they've played 10 million hands online. They've seen all those situations. And this is the answer to your question. Judgment is pattern recognition. And that's what AI is, right? It's the discerning of correlations. So what is judgment? I'm at an unknown situation here. Someone's typing something into the AI box, right? And what I'm going to do is go through past experiences and pick out the ones that best correlate to this experience. Now, they won't tell me the right answer, but they will give me the ability to best assess what is most likely to be the right answer, like what is most likely to be the next word in this sentence, which is large language models. So it's all the same thing, actually. We're all using our judgment based on the data of experience to try and best predict the future, with one final caveat, Seth, we're still going to be really bad at it, right? And part of what I teach is that to be a good decision maker, you need to embrace failure.
Right. And artificial intelligence, ubiquitous, said more in a pedestrian way for us North Americans. It's everywhere. It's predictive. It's prognosticating. It's trying to determine what the next move, the next steps are. But here's where I want your take on this comment, observation, question. The human still is the one that needs to act, still needs to choose. In my very pedestrian way, I'm like, okay, I'm an elite alpinist. I'm on Everest. I'm on Camp 1, 2, 3, wherever I am. I'm with a Sherpa who is kind of like a human ChatGPT. They have a body of work that can help with the calculation. We have some smartphones and some apparati that can determine altitude, wind, the forecast, et cetera, et cetera. You can populate all that information. You can have determined, what's highly likely. But at the end of the day, you still need to make the choice.
You're absolutely right. And I think the key word there is responsibility, isn't it? I mean, I think we're at a place now where, there are a lot of AI programs, bodies,
agents, bots.
Yeah. That can better assess, an X-ray for cancer than a good doctor, right? But it can't take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
We still need a doctor to take responsibility, because otherwise the responsibility is ours, and we need someone to lean on in those moments of decision. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that humans will be crucial for decisions, even though a lot of the analysis, increasing amount, is going to be done by AI. However, I think that, to choose my world, for example, and I think the world of finance as an adjunct to that, AI will kill online poker. Really, because they've always been bots, right? And bots are, some of them are good, some of them are bad. They've got to be programmed well, right? But if AI can get to a place where it's making near perfect decisions, and also, what is the other thing about AI? It's scalable for a very small amount of money. I just don't see the market for poker online in exactly the same way. By the way, as from the very early days, there was a program called Snowy, which was able to make the perfect decision for the game of backgammon. And think of backgammon for a moment as like poker with the cards up, right? So there was no unknown. Well, Snowy was just able to Monte Carlo analyze the situation and go, well, that's the play. And that's why backgammon never took off online, because if your play too closely approximated to Snowy, you were deemed to be cheating and you were thrown off, right? So where do we go from there? The online world of poker online poker world is tiny. How do we, if we start to scale that up to, the world stock markets and finance and investing and all the rest of it, where do we go? That's beyond my pay grade. I think really the point is all markets will tend to get more and more efficiency. And I think it comes back to what we said there before, which is the job will be taking a responsibility for the decision.
Yeah. Which that's a whole separate podcast.